Hi, this is Tim Shepish, Director of Sales for North America for Volteo. We're going to take you on the winning the digital transformation race. A quick video. Hope you liked that video. I know I like it. It's very exciting to watch, which keys us into the presentation we're going to present today. As we start this presentation, just a quick overview on who we are as Volteo. As you can see, we are a global organization providing services on the ServiceNow platform for the last 7 years. I myself have 15 years of ServiceNow experience coming over to Volteo just a year ago. I think it's key to understand your partners and those in the ecosystem that can provide value to you. So the concepts here is we're going to walk through is how to win the digital transformation race. And again, it is a race because at the end of the day, you're either going to be leading or you're going to be following, and nobody wants to be in the back seat. We all want to drive, right? So how do we get to that social, or as you will, situational awareness that we need to transform now versus tomorrow? And I think with the current state of what's going on with COVID and all the other reasons that we should start transforming, there's no better time than the present. So what are you going to do to transform? And how are you going to get there? I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to understanding where you start from. If we know where to start, then we know where we're actually going to end up. At least that's the goal, right? So what we look at is what do we have in terms of people, process, and technology already at our fingertips? Do we have the right people to take us to that next level? Do we have the right process definitions, or are we continuing to improve our process over time? And how do we fit automation in to deliver on those processes? Because that, at the end of the day, takes you into your digital transformation. So we also look at what's next is what do we need to change? We can all look at certain things. We say, well, we don't have the right tools. Well, that's because we have a bunch of point solutions. If we're on ServiceNow today, we probably still have some legacy of those point solutions that are out there doing things that we can still do on platform if we transform and change into using the entire ServiceNow capability list. So if we think about that, how do we achieve an acknowledgement of what it is we need to change? And that's where certain things come to mind, which is, we thought we bought the right technologies. We thought we were able to move the needle with those new automations. We thought we had the right people and the right processes. We also thought we knew exactly where we were floundering and where we needed to start again. In some cases, it ends up being a start and stop concept where we've done this multiple different times. I know I'm not the only one who's seen those different journeys pause and then move forward with a new cast of characters or a new urgency around some business outcomes. But I think at the end of the day, if we're going to sustain something, we have to make sure we know what we're changing and how we're going to measure our path as we start going down that holistic view of changing an organization for digital transformation. So when I look at this, I really start thinking about how do we know that we can measure things? What are we going to measure? Are we even measuring the right things? And so when you think about this, how do we look at our return on our investment? If we're going to invest in automation, we're also investing in people to be able to get that automation in-house and start using it correctly. So again, we're driving towards that path to value, but we also have to stop. We have to measure. We have to make sure we're on the right path. And that is where a lot of organizations tend to get into paralysis mode. Are we even looking at the right path? Did we take the right steps? Do we have to throw away everything and start again? Or can we leverage where we're currently at and move the needle again forward to that next level? So I think that is really an organizational change model where we look at how we're going to transform. It's not just the day-to-day activities we've been doing in the past. It's not just turning on a certain tool or looking at a certain process. It's looking at everything holistically. So if we go through that, how do we assess where we want to go to? At the end of the day, what does it really mean to us to digitally transform? All right, do we have a knowledge of our current state? Can we state what that current state is or is not providing to us? What efforts do we have underway? If there's strengths that we have and weaknesses that we have and opportunities and threats that we can identify. At the end of the day, we want to know what those opportunities are because we have to map that to the outcomes we're trying to achieve, which takes us into the opportunities and how do we. So if we look at improvements, not just on employees and not just on workflows, but improvements, again, in delivering services digitally. If you were to look at your organization today and say, if I'm doing something in an automated fashion, does that mean I am digitally delivering a service? Well, it depends on the nature of the service, right? So you have to step back a little bit and say, how do I streamline tasks via automation with more knowledge, more intelligence, and more results-driven workflows that can take the human out of the picture and repeat those steps time and time again without any error and inaccuracy? And then how do we really deliver those services end-to-end to our customers? So if we know what those opportunities are, how do we prioritize them? And what is our immediate risk? Things that we know we have to check off the box right away to remove those boundaries or roadblocks from our frontal lobe. So we can look forward to say, here's where we're going to drive towards together. What are the must-haves, the things that we have to do right away? So if we think about clearing out all the noise that goes on in any organization, we think about where do I need to focus? What is this? I won't call it the low-hanging fruit, but the high-priority outcomes. Because an outcome isn't something you're going to reach usually in 15 to 30 days, but it does have measurable, if you will, mini outcomes, or if you will, certain targets that you meet as you pivot towards that outcome. And I think that's really what we're trying to accomplish here with digital transformation. And then what does success look like in 2 to 5 years for us as an organization? So if I'm only looking myopically at today and just tomorrow, then I'm not looking in the future enough to know that I'm transforming to something that is or isn't even available today, but I know will be because I have a focus on emerging technologies. And without that emerging technology focus, you're always going to be reacting to the market instead of helping drive that market. And if I look at what do we need to change, going into a holistic view and the overview of what we're trying to understand between those goals and interdependencies between those goals, we have to understand there are things that come first and things that come second. So how do we understand what those opportunities are on the ServiceNow platform? And I think that is where people also miss the point. They bought ServiceNow because back in the day it was a rip and replace, or it was a like for like, or we just need to get on the new supposed ITIL out of the box. Well, the concept has definitely changed. ServiceNow has changed it for all of us. If we're looking at things such as HR, CSM, ITSM, ITOM, security operations, and bringing in all concepts of GRC, facilities management, into field service management. Now we start thinking about all these different tools at our fingertips. How do we bring them together to really deliver a transformable service to our end customers? And then into that roadmap discussion, because once we have the holistic view, we have to identify the steps we're going to take to get there. So what goals are we going to prioritize, and what's the sense of urgency behind each goal? How does that goal roll up to that outcome? And then when we start looking at that, we have to sort those goals and their dependencies so we make sure we understand how the two pieces work together. If I have a goal and I have an outcome, and I know there's a dependency between this particular goal and me achieving that outcome, there's also other goals I have to achieve along the way. So if I'm able to understand what that looks like, then I'm going to be able to say, you know what? I know that my goals are stepping stones, so how do I get to the end? And that's where advisors and partners come in. They help you sift through some of that paralysis and say, all right, here's the vision you're trying to get to. Here's the outcomes you've defined. You may not know all the outcomes that you need to find as your stepping stones. That's where those third-party eyes, partners like a Volteo and other partners in the ecosystem, can help drive you towards those specific outcomes as your advisor, making sure you understand the steps it takes to get there is hugely important. And having that third party on the outside, it removes the politics from the conversation. Now we all have a goal we know we're moving towards with the right outcomes. And also, hugely important is being able to measure where you're at along that way. Just because we have a roadmap, and the criticism on roadmaps has always been, great, they told me I need to do X, Y, and Z. It's not actionable. I don't know what to do with it. Well, digital transformation roadmaps require you to stop and pause. They require you to, if you will, do a little internal inventory and say, have I met these goals, even if I haven't reached the outcome yet? So that I know in this waypoint where I pulled off the road to look at my goals and where my next goals are to reach my outcome, I know that I'm still on the right way. I can stop and measure. Also, a huge component of success is you have to measure where you're going. Otherwise, you're going to stop going in any direction at all. And then how do we know if we're on the right path? Well, that's where, again, it comes back down to managing that technology practice and what you're trying to do to define those outcomes. So if I look at digital transformation success, what is my vision? What is my mission? What are my foundational objectives that I'm trying to get to? And what strategies do I put in place so that I can measure incrementally the indicators that show me that I've met that particular outcome or that goal, and that indicator aligns to the goal that I'm trying to reach to that outcome. And then moving into establishing a regular operational reviews. This is huge. A lot of organizations start with the best of ideas, and then the new flavor of the day or the new crisis comes in, and now suddenly this thing's falls to the wayside. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. You always have to continue to check in, have waypoint reviews, make sure your stakeholders are identified and that you're communicating to those stakeholders because they will help you continue to remove your roadblocks. And they're the ones, by the way, funding all of this. So you have to make sure that they understand where you're going to and the tone from the top, the vision matches that tone, and you're able to measure against those outcomes. All right. And then lastly, on what we're trying to do in the right path here is be an agent of change. Each individual, and no matter the role in any size organization, doesn't matter if you're in the C-suite or at the bottom level, you still have a role to play and you still have value to provide to your organization. You can be a champion for change or you can be a resistor to change. And I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, when you're transforming, resistors to change don't help you transform. So understand how to empower yourself. Understand how to empower the employees, and how you win that race really comes down to leading by example, empowering the people around you and the people below you, the people above you, communicating bidirectionally. And this is hugely important, bidirectionally, up and down the chain. Motivate everyone, because everyone does have the common goal of achieving success in an organization. That's why we work here. Otherwise, we'd all work for ourselves. At the end of the day, it comes down to being a driver and not a passenger. And elevate the ServiceNow experience. There's so much capabilities on this platform that help you can drive your transformation. Embrace it, empower yourselves to achieve it. And then lastly, if you have any questions and you'd like for us, Volteo, to help you down your journey, please go to our Beginner's Digital Transformation Roadmap template available on our website. And any other questions you may have can be addressed to myself at tim.shepherd@volteo.com or again through our website and our contacts. Thank you for attending this presentation today on winning the digital transformation race. My call to action to all of you is to go to our website, download the Beginner's Digital Transformation Guide. We're here to help you, as are every partner in this ecosystem. We do have a lot of experience in digital transformation roadmaps, and we know we can make you successful. Thank you and have a great day.